Welcome back to MCTV Extra Point. I'm your host, CJ Ritchie, and this is my guest, Nick Lucarelli. What's up?
What's up, man?
Doing good?
How's it going?
Now we're going great. We're going to get right off into NHL news. The three teams in the tri-state areas, which we like to focus on, the Flyers, Rangers, Devils, on the middle of the pack, while the Flyers are kind of a little below them.
They have one game less, though, don't they? Pretty sure?
Yes, they do. The Rangers are 9th seed, Devils 10, Flyers are 13th. Rangers and Devils both have 18 points, but the Rangers are above with less games played. Which all three of these teams, who has the biggest problem leading ahead this next month?
Devils. I think the Devils do. I don't think the Devils are good. I mean, I know that's my expert opinion.
Well,
I don't think they're very good.
For all NHL power rankings, which is goals against, penalty kill percentage, goals per game, and goals power play, they're all under 15, which means they're all under half, which means I don't know how you can have this bad of a good of a record with how bad you're playing.
I think quite frankly, it's really not the only sport. It's the sport where luck most is involved. I think quite frankly, they were playing tough that first stretch. First 10 games.
You get some puck luck.
And now they're just getting puck luck. Yeah, I think the hockey gods were on their side. And as we know, that doesn't last. It's really who wins the Stanley Cup usually somewhat involves who has the puck luck in April. So, I mean, I just think they had it going in, and I don't think they're going to last because, Corey Schneider is not what they thought he was. He's a great goaltender.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have any relief either.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. His defense, Andy Green's not playing well. Their captain, Bryce Salvador, I think he's a -4 player.
He's banged up as well.
He's banged up. He's usually hurt. So I just don't think they're not even close to the kind of team that the Flyers and Rangers are. So I think they're in trouble.
Well, it's funny.
You got
the Flyers. Their goals against and penalty kill percentage are 26th or lower in the league.
That's
out of 31 teams. The goals per game, they're third, and their penalty power play is 5th. So they're really good at scoring goals and scoring when you're supposed to, but they can't do the opposite, which is there's a whole problem of their team coming in. And then you have the thing of looking at Vinny Cavalier might come back, may be coming into Philly next year, but that really doesn't have the problem because the problem isn't scoring goals. The problem is managing defensive and power plays and all that stuff.
And I think you'll be happy to hear this. I think they're very correctable. I think what's most important is the fact that their power play and their penalty kill is hot right now, and maybe not even hot. It's really just sustained. It's sustained success, and I think the other stuff is coachable. It's going to wear out. People have to remember, this is really the equivalent. It's an 82-game season. This is the equivalent to the second game, say, in football. So, it's still early, and there's still things to work out, and I think they're going to be okay. I mean, I don't think anybody should be worried about them being able to bump those numbers up, and hopefully they can keep the same penalty kill power play success because that's the most important thing in the playoffs. Usually, if you look at a game, who had less penalties, who had the most power play goals, that's usually the team that wins. So that's the most important thing, really, in hockey, if you have to break it down to those kinds of statistics. So they're on the right track. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, Voracek and Drew over 20 points already.
Yeah, Voracek's the leading point scorer right now.
Which is amazing to see if he can hold that up. Going over the Rangers, Dan Boyle still hurt?
No, Dan Boyle's playing.
He's back. He's playing a little injured.
Well, he's playing injured, and he had the winning goal last night. Well, not last night, last couple of days, but didn't, as you know, didn't turn out to be a goal. Wacky game in Pittsburgh. But yeah, he's not back up. When we get our defensemen back, when the Rangers get the defensemen back, it's going to be a nice group together with McDonough coming back, and you'll have Girardi, Stahl, and Danny Boyle. So it's going to be a great first two lines, but we're still banged up there in defense.
Yeah, and if you look at the plus and minus, which doesn't really tell you everything, but Jágr is minus. Ryder and Camilleri, their other two top goal scorers for the Devils, are just like +1, +2. It's just a very bad I think they are playing very bad. They are the worst of the three, but their record doesn't show it.
Yeah, I think you have to pick the Flyers, I think. If you're looking at all three, the Flyers, I think, have the chance to be the best team out of it.
They got 3 players over 10 points. Their plus-minus is fairly high for all of them except the defensemen, and that comes back to Luke Schenn. McDonald's both hurt. Tiemann has the blood clots in his legs.
I don't know if he's going to come back this year.
He probably won't come back forever. He's probably done his career. He's on the wrong side of 30, and he's looking to be a little bad. But Rick Nash is another bright spot. And let's go over the top 3 teams in each conference. You got Montreal, Tampa Bay, and Pittsburgh. Who would you want your team not to play?
If I'm the average fan or
the average fan, yeah.
The average fan, Pittsburgh's the most dangerous team because they score the most goals, and Marc-Andre Fleury is very streaky, which people would say, well, if he's streaky, then you want to play him.
Very hot though.
But he's very hot right now, and if he's playing well, he's as good as anybody in the league. That's just the way it is. The problem with that is that he's not always hot. But with their offense, their first two lines they're like an all-star team. So the average team would not want to face Pittsburgh Penguins.
Now, try the same thing in the West. You got Anaheim, St. Louis, or Nashville.
I mean, I think Nashville's a pretender. I mean, I think St. Louis is the most well-rounded team in the West. Maybe on paper, the games aren't played on paper, but maybe on paper the most well-rounded team in the league. I mean, they got that Allen kid's playing great in goal, and I mean, between him and Elliott, they have a nice two-man rotation. And they got Backus, you got Jackman, you got Shattenkirk, you got on the back end, you got Oshie, Steen, Pietrangelo. So I mean, they're just really talking about another all-star team. So they're another one that, if they're playing to their fullest potential, they're the best team maybe in the league, let alone the West.
Well, that's certain teams where you think you better not lose. Yeah. Not like you better win. You better not lose because you're too good. But one more thing I'd like to say, my NHL Stanley Cup pick, the Islanders, who are they're young, they're ready. I think it's time. It's
about goaltending.
And they have not lost a game in overtime yet.
Oh, they're playing great. We don't talk about them because we don't like them here. But
yeah, no one does.
It's just because, I think the reason we don't talk about them is the reason why they're not going to win is because they're going to fizzle out. We all know that. They've started hot before. Why not?
Why? Because
Who's their goalie? Halleck, man.
Yeah, Yaroslav.
He's like 47. I mean,
so is Brodeur. It's all right.
I don't see it.
We'll be able to discuss at a later date. That's our NHL news for today. When we come back, we're talking about Cam with NCAA football.
Yeah.
First time in a while, we're going to get right into this playoff picture that's starting to pan out.
Weird to say, playoff picture.
Adopting a new pet is a rewarding experience. And shelter pets make super pets. Your new best friend will steal your heart, bring you happiness, and enrich your life for years to come. You can make a difference in the life of an animal. Adopt and bring home a shelter pet today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
Welcome back to MCTV Extra Point. I'm your host, and now we're back with Cameron Watkins. What's up?
Hey guys, how are you?
Sammy's doing well. His brother's kind of riding the pine for the Eagles. We're now going to talk about where they came from, NCAA college football, where I'm going to see we got FSU, the rankings now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. FSU, Alabama, Oregon, Mississippi State, TCU. Who is your go-to team out of these top 5? Do you really think Jameis Winston is better than these teams? I don't.
No, I'm not trusting Florida State at all. Their strength of schedule.
But they're 10-0.
Their strength of schedule is just weak.
What do you mean? They have 2 games
They play in the ACC. They don't have any competition. They're playing. They just beat Miami. Which probably has given them the best competition out of this entire season.
Which is embarrassing.
Yeah. I feel like Miami should have beat him. Brad Kaya, he played
well enough to win. It wasn't his fault.
I feel like he put up a really good fight against them in the first half. I feel like those Miami receivers, they didn't capitalize. One of their Miami receivers.
It's not Santana Moss anymore.
Yeah, he's not Santana Moss, exactly.
Former Jet.
One of the Miami receivers, he had a really good 30-yard catch, and got out the field, and inside the 25-yard line, got the ball stripped from him. And, that was a really costly turnover for them. So,
well, that's where these new college kids don't understand to hold on to the ball, like Josh Huff on the Eagles.
People in the NFL don't know how to hold on to the ball, let alone these idiot college kids.
Well, moving on. Alabama beats Mississippi State in dramatic fashion this past weekend.
Yeah. Pretty handled win, I thought. Yeah.
Well, dramatic for Alabama.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Oregon, Mississippi State, and TCU. I'm picking Oregon to win the national championship because of Mariota's just best quarterback out of all 5 of these guys.
I think the best
I know you're standing by
in the top 5.
Standing by Sims from Alabama.
I'm standing by Sims.
Standing by Sims.
Maybe not right now, but in a year and a half, when I think he's a redshirt junior.
He's a redshirt junior, yes.
Yeah. I think he's going to be the best
quarterback.
Did
you misconstrue my words when I said the top 5 teams right now, best quarterback is Mariota? And that's all that matters when the top 5.
I think Sims is the best quarterback. I think he's going to be the best quarterback.
He's redshirted, isn't he?
I know. No, he's playing right now. He's a redshirt, which means he has another year left.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think he's the best quarterback. I think they're the best team. I think you have, if you one-on-one situation, I don't think Oregon's playing style is going to handle with Alabama. A lot of people are talking about how the front 3-4 type of defense Alabama plays, traditional football isn't holding up because it's the whole Chip Kelly type of offense. I don't think it's the exact same. They don't do the same type of tempo, but the same type of play calling isn't going to hold up. That's the new way of the football, that sort of thing. But I think Alabama is by far the best team, and that's why it's great we can prove it now with the playoff system.
I feel like these TCU Horned Frogs, Trevon Boykin, I feel like he's going to be a sleeper going into it. I'm not picking him to win the national championship, but I do feel like they're going to be a sleeper team come playoff time. So
I think they have a better chance than Mississippi State.
You do have to keep an eye out for them.
Yeah, I think Dak Prescott's he's not very good.
Yeah.
So SEC title game, who wins?
SEC title game, it's tough to say right now. Anybody can win the SEC.
Well, obviously anybody can win.
Yeah.
Well, who do you think?
I feel like what I feel right now, the SEC West, they need to take all the teams in that division and just create their own conference because they just beat up on everybody. But the team that's going to win the SEC, from what I've seen out of that Alabama, Mississippi, I'm going to go with Alabama.
Alabama?
You got to, I think. I agree.
I don't really think any other division can be any other conference can be contested by any other team.
Oh, except for your buddies at Oregon.
I don't think so.
Really? I thought you won the national championship.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying for their conference championship game, there's no way to contest them in their conference.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand. That makes sense.
I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, USC is terrible.
TCU as well. I don't think anybody can really touch that.
You know the thing
They're
about
Big 12, right?
Yeah, TCU is Big 12.
Yeah,
yes.
Oklahoma's not playing well.
The only thing about USC is they can't finish games. That's the only thing about them. That's why they fell out the top 25.
There you go.
What's your team to win the national championship? I know we don't know, but tell me who's going to win.
I know you have no idea, but tell me.
Well, just give an honest opinion. Who do you think? Who would you take?
I give an honest opinion. I will have to go with Nick Saban because he's been there. So I will take the Alabama Crimson Tide.
What about you, Nick?
Alabama. They're the best team.
Okay, well, as I say, my friend Daniel Tosh, death to Saban. When we come back, we'll talk about NBA with Cam and Vic. Stay tuned.
What's going on?
I've got a job to do today.
I've got a job to do today.
Have a good first day at work, Mom.
Your donations to Goodwill fund job training programs right in your community.
Feels good to start fresh, right?
Sure does.
And like that, you're a job creator.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Welcome back to MCTV Extra Point. And now we're going to get right into our NBA little segment we got here with Cam and Vic. Now, top 3 teams from each conference. We got Toronto, Washington, actually my picks for the East, if we can go back 3 shows from now. Chicago rounding out without D-Rose on a thing. And D-Rose had some comments to say the other week, or a couple days ago. What was that?
Oh, yeah, he was, he made some, it wasn't politically correct how he projected his feelings about his health after basketball, going into old age. He was asked about when he sits out certain games that it's possible for him to play. Why does he sit out? And, his comments were, something along the lines of, I'm thinking about my future. I don't want to be a old man that's hurt. And he's getting a lot of ridicule for it because, these guys are $1 million athletes. You shouldn't not play as hard as you can because of possible injury or long-term, concern about injuries.
Plus, even when you get older, you're going to have the best medicine money can buy to help those injuries,
right?
Because of how much money you have. But that's up to speculation of what you think. Rookie Aaron Gordon, Orlando, goes out indefinitely with a foot injury. Corey Brewer, going off injuries. Corey Brewer from Minnesota is looking to the Cavaliers or Houston, the swing man from Minnesota. So that'll be interesting to see if one of them grabs them and they make a playoff push. You got Cleveland finally turns it around, 5-3 now, a couple wins. It's a little incentive to look at Cleveland. And then the Knicks and the Sixers, nice to round out from our tri-state area, 3-8 and 0-9. doing exactly what they're supposed to do is lose.
Yeah, you know, I don't know what's going on with those organizations. People, the fans are starting to be really frustrated with them because, you know, it's year in now and year out, same thing. I feel like with the Cavaliers, though, there's nothing to worry about when it comes playoff time. We all know LeBron James shows up, so I think their record right now is irrelevant to anything that's going on.
You know, I still don't think the Cavs are going to win 60 games this season. I could see them winning maybe 54, 55 games.
They'll still be in the playoffs, though.
They'll still be in the playoffs.
And that's what truly matters. Moving over to the West, which is Cam's more expertise, as he likes to stay away from our home teams. We got Memphis, Houston, and Golden State all 1, 2, 3, 9-1, 9-1, 8-2. I had Golden State projected to win. Memphis has shocked everyone. So let's keep that going. Also, the Lakers are 1-9. Now we're looking at the twilight of some people's careers with Tim Duncan shining and Kobe suffering. But yet Kobe is scoring a lot. He had 44 points in his last game.
But the thing about the points that is irrelevant is there's no W with it. If you're Kobe Bryant right now, you just made a reference to Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan has a squad around him of ball players, and everybody's expected to do the same thing. He's a star because of his longevity, but there's nobody that's treated special on that team. Kobe Bryant should not be taking 34 shots at all at this point of his career. I know we expect him to make a great comeback and, you know, people expect him to score this much, but he shouldn't be shooting this much. You're supposed to have a supporting cast around you at this point. And when you're doing that, it just seems like you're forcing it and you're still not getting any wins. What do you want to do? You're not going to score another 81 point game.
Now he's padding stats for his retirement.
Yeah,
I don't know what to say. Cam, give me something to look forward to in the next couple of weeks for the NBA.
You know, it's tough.
Would it be OKC?
OKC, you know, we're 3-8 right now, you know. Russell Westbrook, he's going to be out for another 2 to 3 weeks. Kevin Durant, you know, they're probably penciling him for a January 2nd return, you know, with that injured pinky toe.
Very manly injury.
But, you know, this NBA Western Conference, you know, it's shaping up. It's really shaping up to be pretty interesting. You know, you got the Houston Rockets, they're 9-1. Memphis Grizzlies are 9-1. You know, everybody thought the Grizzlies actually took a step back. And, you know, people thought the Dallas Mavericks took a step up with the acquisition of Chandler Parsons. So I'm really anxious to see who's going to be the challenger when it comes playoff time to challenge the San Antonio Spurs, actually.
Yeah, that's the only exciting thing about basketball, just waiting for people to come back from injury in time for, you know, the playoffs. So that's one of the exciting things to look forward to.
Well, that's true. You guys stay right there. One more thing, NBA, for the Christmas jerseys, as they do something different every year, the first names of players will be on the backs of their jerseys, which I don't know if that really strikes anything with you. But these guys will be right back. We're talking about some NFL and this crazy weekend we had. Stay tuned.
Kids will spend 8 minutes decorating their little brother.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education. So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour to show them that higher education means a brighter future.
My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
You can be a reader, tutor, or mentor too. Take the pledge at liveunited.org/volunteer.
Do you wear this?
Welcome back to MCTV Extra Point for our NFL segment with Cam and Vic. So, guys, I'm going to get right to my most personal problem this week.
Oh, man.
The Green Bay Packers against the Philadelphia Eagles, 53-20. Aaron Rodgers just looks great. But the three defense special teams touchdowns for the Packers was really the killer, and the Eagles secondary. You really watched the game. You really didn't see Mark Sanchez really struggle that bad. Shady still has 88 yards.
Yeah.
But Sanchez has 2 picks, but really he gets sacked 3 times. He fumbles the ball 3 times.
The only factor about LaShawn McCoy's production on yesterday is on Sunday is he had 3.8 yards a carry on 23 carries. You know, he has to get better. We have to get better production out of LaShawn McCoy in that offense. You know, he's set up to do well in Chip Kelly's system. You know, we have to get better production out of him.
I agree with that, but I think also the receivers are doing a fairly decent job. So it's not like the lack of running, you know, is actually killing the team in any sort of way. It probably would help, but it's not the problem. The problem is the secondary, like you said.
Exactly.
And the funny thing about the secondary is you got Jordy Nelson, who gets 4 catches, 109 yards and a touchdown, but he gets targeted 10 times. So that means Kerry Williams, whoever's out there, they'd stop. I mean, maybe Aaron Rodgers overthrows, whatever, but 6 times Jordy Nelson was thrown to, they were stopped, which is, I think, not signs of improvement, but signs of something nice to come. Maybe take it as like an improvement and just walk away with the loss is what you can. Randall Cobb, Jordy looked great. Clay Matthews comes out, 5 total tackles, a sack, pass deflection, hit Sanchez twice. And then you got Jordan Matthews and Macklin, both 200 yards rushing, 200 yards receiving total, 2 touchdowns and 14 receptions. Good game from them. It's just they just couldn't do it on defense. They had 5 total turnovers on offense.
You know, going back to Mark Sanchez, it's not like he had a bad game. You know, I believe his quarterback rating was up in the 80s. So
it was like 80 points something.
So it's not like he performed on a bad level. He had a productive game. I believe it just falls back on that Philadelphia Eagles secondary.
Yeah, that's really
they have to perform better.
And also
every
you watch
Sunday.
you watch the front 7, which is good for the Eagles in defense, but they didn't do pressure because they were worried about the secondary.
No,
putting linebackers
Aaron
in
Rodgers
coverage.
Had too much time to get
Aaron
everything
Rodgers
together.
Is going to make plays.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to beat him out like that, and I don't think they did. But next week you got Green Bay at Minnesota, which I think will be light work for them, but who knows in the division game. Eagles versus Tennessee. It's a must-win because your Eagles and their Tennessee. So we'll see how that goes. Moving down to another surprising, it's not really surprising, I took the Bengals, but the Bengals beat the Saints outright at home 27-10. Andy Dalton still like under 250 yards, but he has 3 touchdowns. Jeremy Hill, 27 carries, 152 yards. And then AJ Green does what he does on offense. Drew Brees,
what's wrong with the Saints right now is the fact that, you know, they only had this home thing going. And then once that got taken away last week by San Francisco, it's just like the same thing that happened to the Seahawks. Once a team does the unexpected to a team that's expected to triumph, it's downhill from there. You know, there's nothing good is going to come from it because now there's 2 losses at home back to back. That was all you had going for you.
But they also have that division going for them, and they're still leading with 4-6, tied with Atlanta. You go over to Mark Ingram rushes 23 times for 67 yards. Drew Brees looked great. He didn't throw a pick. He only missed 12 throws out of 41, and he had 255 yards. I really think it's their defense in that run game. If that run game doesn't get going, they're not a good team, and their defense is not good. And Jerry Spurd was the wrong pick to take when they could have got line help or linebacker help. Jerry Spurd was a waste of money, and they also lose Malcolm Jenkins and Darren Sproles to the Eagles by doing that Jerry Spurd thing. I think it was wrong for them.
Drew Brees, he is missing Darren Sproles right about now.
But Brandon Cooks is showing some life.
Any team would be missing Darren Sproles.
You got Cincinnati at Houston, and New Orleans playing a tough team in Baltimore. So I think New Orleans is about to have another loss next week. But we're just going to move on. The biggest surprise yesterday was the Rams beating the Broncos 22-7. It was at home, though, for the Rams. But still, Sean Hill comes out for another start, and they sit Austin Davis, 20 for 29, 1 touchdown, sacked 3 times. And Trey Mason, the story, 29 carries, 113 yards.
I think the issue is people underestimate the Rams because with that upset yesterday, that made them they won over the 2 teams that were in last year's Super Bowl, which says something about their team, even though it's really insignificant right now. But that means if they were to face those 2 teams, you know, in the Super Bowl, would it have been the same type of game? That's just for speculation purposes. But I think if you're the Broncos, you were supposed to win that game, regardless of if it was a home game for the Rams or not. There's only a shaky moment that we think about the Broncos is when they're playing Tom Brady or something like that. Like, you know, maybe they're going to win, maybe not.
Otherwise.
This one was supposed to be a different, especially with the loss being a 1 touchdown game. I think that's thing we have to take away from this. It wasn't just the fact that they lost. They didn't put up their usual amount.
Put up 7.
Exactly, and that's almost a shutout in a sense.
Well, you got some interesting stuff here. You got C.J. Anderson, their now leading rusher, 9 carries for 29 yards. I think that's just dreadful. If you don't have a running game, you're not going to win.
All the teams that lose don't
They were
have any
4 and
running
12
game.
on 3rd down, and they had 8 penalties for 62 yards. You really can't. I mean, I don't care who you are. You could be the Vikings. You're not beating the team if you're going to play like that against them. Rams are going to take on San Diego at San Diego, so I don't know. That game's a toss-up. But Denver's playing at home against the Dolphins. I'm sure they're going to smack them around in a nice statement game back like they always do. But it's really disconcerting how every team, there's no definite.
No.
As our other analyst Nick said, there's no definites out there. And sure, the position players can do whatever, but then the defensive line, offensive line, running back stuff, it's the real problem. The secondaries, I think it really all lies on the defense when you need to win. Let's move over to the Sunday night game. We got the Patriots 42 over the Colts 20. Tom Brady doesn't look that good, and then they have this guy Jonas Gray, 38 carries, 198 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, those are Madden stats. I think, just like you just said, you can't get the running game going, you're not gonna win. Now compare those stats.
14 carries, 4 yards.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's not even a comparison to make. It's not even in the same bracket of conversation.
Andrew Luck had more rushing yards than both his running backs.
Exactly, and you're not gonna get anything going like that when you can throw the ball as many times as you want. Because Andrew Luck only threw 1 pick, so it wasn't like he played horribly.
No,
but
he played fine.
It's just you can't force anything in any sport, in any league. It's just not gonna work. Everything has to be moving. The whole team has to be playing as a unit for anything to go for you. So I think everybody expected them to lose this.
Oh, I picked New England, but I did not pick the Rams. That's for sure.
Yeah, everybody expected them to lose this, but just like the difference with the Rams being home and were expected to lose, they won, and the Colts they were home and expected to lose, and they lost. So, it's
You know what I think it came down to? I think it came down to the Colts' inability to stop the run.
Well, that's for sure. It was like a jugular. It wasn't bleeding a little bit. It was bursting.
It was bleeding eternally all night long for the Indianapolis Colts.
And everyone, it's just another defensive crumble. New England just, it seems whoever stops playing good or has a bad game, the other person picks up.
Yeah, it's just
I don't think Shane Vereen wanted to hit the holes like Jonas Gray did, but he's not their starter. Another little interesting thing. Gostowski, perfect again from kicking. I think he's the best kicker in the league. But you can have
those are factors that play into wins as well, because you can't have guys missing 23-yard field goals and expect your team to win any championships.
Even when they win outright, he's always good, which is great. That's all we have for NFL. It's a really weird week. The Thursday night game is Oakland at Kansas City, or vice versa. I don't know. But when we come back, we're going to talk with Mike for the NASCAR Overdrive with the final segment, because NASCAR's over. Champion was crowned. Stay tuned. Welcome back to MCTV Extra Point. Now with Mike with our final installment of the 2014 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Edition Overdrive.
Well,
so who won last night at Homestead?
Well, final race of the year. Final chance for these guys to get a win. Harvick came out on top, and with that win, he gets the 2014 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Championship, his first championship in his first year with Stewart-Haas Racing. First time since 1974 when Richard Petty did it in his own team, with his own team at Petty Enterprises, and with a new crew chief, no doubt, in Rodney Childers. First time that's happened in 40 years.
It's very interesting. I hear that the guy second in the standings came second in the race.
Yeah, Ryan Newman pulled a dirty move on Kyle Larson last week in Phoenix. Unfortunately, he paid the price for it with a second-place finish at Homestead, second to the champion Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, there's no gold for second place, is there?
Nothing for second place.
No, nobody wants to win that. I heard Harvick had led 54 laps, and is this his first championship ever?
First championship ever. He had numerous chances over at Richard Childress Racing, but after 12 years there, he decided to pack it in at RCR, move over to Stewart-Haas Racing in what was essentially a driver trade. Harvick went to Stewart-Haas Racing, while Ryan Newman, who was in Harvick's current ride at SHR, went over to Childress Racing to drive the 31 car.
That's a little bad blood there. Now, Jeff Gordon, my fan favorite, a lot of people's fan favorite, came in 10th behind his teammate Jimmy Johnson. And you said he had a pit stop that was ill-advised.
It was an interesting call by crew chief Alan Gustafson to bring in his driver Jeff Gordon with 3 to go on the ensuing restart, coming to the ensuing restart. Gotta wonder what happened on that last restart to bring up that call. Was it either a flat tire from contact with the 11 car of Hamlin, or did Alan Gustafson see something that we viewers at home did not see?
Well, that's very interesting. Any now give me your, what's to look forward to for next year? What's like your biggest thing you're gonna look for?
Biggest thing that I'm gonna look for is, well, not only the new TV contracts with Fox and NBC, but also how these new driver lineups are going to shake up. We're going to be seeing Trevor Bayne in the return of the 6 car for Roush Fenway Racing. Also going to be seeing IndyCar Series alum Sam Hornish Jr. in the 9 car, which was vacated by Marcus Ambrose after last night in Homestead. He'll be driving the 9 car, as well as a new ride over at Joe Gibbs Racing for Carl Edwards. He's moving over from Roush Fenway to Joe Gibbs Racing to drive the 19.
He lost his 99.
Yeah, 99 is no more. It'll be replaced with the return of the 6 car.
Well, there you go. Well, you're first. Next week, we're going to take a look with Mike at the 2015 NASCAR scheduling, racing, team member stuff, and all that. But for here at MCTV Extra Point, we're going to say goodbye, and we'll see you next week.
Good night, everyone.